Hi, it's Rocio Raki with Century 21. Specifically today I wanted to chat a little bit in regards to buying and selling. I've been getting a lot of questions from buyers and sellers asking what's the best process and what's the best way to start. So a lot of times they'll ask me, is it great to buy and then sell their single family home, condo, townhouse, or apartment? Or is it better to sell first and then purchase something? And really, I can't actually answer that. However, I can sit here and ask you the right questions and let you figure out what works best for you and your family. So basically what I would do is ask you the questions, for example, if you can float two mortgages at the same time, then it might be okay for you to actually find the dream home that you want, purchase it, and then list your house in the event that you might actually have to be paying two mortgages over a period of time. If you can't do that financially, well, then it is in your best interest to sell first and then purchase something that you can actually financially purchase. In this current market, lots of people are doing conditions of the sale of buyer homes, and lots of sellers are accepting those, but with a timeline. So typically there's a 24-hour clause on that specific sale condition of the sale of the buyer's home, meaning if another offer comes in and it's a little bit more desirable, you have 24 hours to waive that condition. So realistically, are you going to be selling that property in 24 hours? Most likely not. But understandable for the other sellers, they don't want to be sitting and waiting for you to sell your property. So in that sense, you do have kind of a fairly weak offer when you're trying to purchase another home, and most sellers will say, no thanks, come back when your property sells, and in that time it might sell to somebody else. So just keep that in mind as well. So unfortunately, I can't fully answer that question for you. However, I can give you some tools, or at least ask you the right questions and guide you to that kind of conclusion. So if you can afford two mortgages, that's great. Then you can go purchase something and then list your property. It may take a couple months, it may not. Or if you can't do that financially, then you need to sell first and then purchase. If your property did just come up on the market and you found something you like, you can put in an offer on another property, but just know it will be, on the condition of the sale of your current home, and some sellers won't accept that, or there's going to be a timeline like 2, 3, 4 weeks at the very most, or a 24-hour clause is in effect at that time. So just know that those are your options, but you can still purchase something. It just may take a little bit longer than you anticipate. And in this current market, lots of townhouses, condos, and apartments are sitting on the market for about 90 days minimum. So just keep that in mind when you are trying to sell your property and looking at other homes that you may want to purchase, that it may take up to 90 days in order to sell your property. If it's priced properly, it might sell quicker, which, in this current market, we're looking at a 15 to 30% decrease in attached home sectors. So unfortunately, it's just a super saturated market when it comes to townhouses, condos, apartments, any attached home properties. So just keep that in mind too, that you might have purchased in 2009 where your property, you're paying $319 for a townhouse. Well, in actuality, now you're lucky if you can walk away with about $300K in your pocket. So unfortunately, that's just the market. If you can wait, they do say that the condos will recover in 2019. Right now, we're competing with brand new homes. So if you have an older townhouse or condo, it's going to take longer because you're competing with the glitz and the glam, low condo fees, and you're dealing with a completely brand new townhouse or condo, and that's your competition. And they're usually pretty low price. So unfortunately, now is not the greatest time to purchase or to sell a condo. However, if you have to, then that's great. If you can wait it out for another 2 years and try to get a little bit more bang for your buck and get a little bit more of a return, then hang out in your townhouse for 2 more years and kind of see what happens. I always like to illustrate this story because it happened personally to me. We had purchased a townhouse in 2009, and we bought pretty high. We bought it for $308. And we were expecting our third baby, and we'd been there for 8 years, and it was time to move. So we put our property on the market, and I had my colleague help me list the property and do all the legwork for me. And we just couldn't sell, and we kept dropping the price. And we did get an offer. It was substantially lower than what we were even listed at, but we were able to negotiate, and we sold it for $286. Now, I've been looking back at those condos and townhouses, and they're listed at $242. So if we would have stayed another couple months in that townhouse, we would have lost way more money. So even though we did end up losing quite a bit of money, we could have lost more. So I always like to tell people that story because personally we've been there, we've experienced it, and two, that's a good illustration of what the current market is right now. Unfortunately, that is where we're at in regards to townhouses and condos, and that's just the reality. And unfortunately, we're competing with single family homes as well. They're at a lower bracket point, and so people actually can purchase those. They don't have to go to a single family home, or they don't have to, go to a condo or a townhouse, because they can actually afford a single family home. So we're also dealing with that too. So unfortunately, it's a super saturated market for townhouses and condos, and you're just not going to get the money that you actually put into it unless you can wait for a couple more years until it recovers. If you have any other questions or concerns and want to chat more about it, feel free to message me or give me a shout, and I'll be happy to meet with you and we can talk more about it. Thanks so much. I'm Rocio Raki with Century 21.